our weekly Wednesday call. I hope you're all well, as I just said. Today's topic is habits that are draining your energy. So yeah, feel free to put your cameras on, guys. I see some faces. That would be very nice. And we're just gonna get started. And just one quick thing, just from the video we just watched, talking about going on your phone in the morning. That is probably one of the biggest habits that I'm trying to, stop. Like, I want to wake up, do my gratitude before I even look at my phone. Probably even just do some reading before I even look at my phone. So yeah, that's just a quick thing. But I'm gonna pass it on to Imogen to get us started on the first topic.
Okay, thanks Claudia for the introduction. Can everyone hear me? Type a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. All right, cool. I just want to say thank you to start with for everyone coming on. We actually hit a new record this week of 7 people on our calls, and we are so happy about that because we get to share this value with more people, right? So yeah, as Claudia said, one of the topics we're going to be talking about today is habits. And to start with, we're actually going to go through 5 things that are like stealing your inner peace and your confidence. So before we go into summer, right, in order for it to be great, we have to have the confidence to go out there and make it great for ourselves. We have to take the initiative to do the things that we want to get done in order to make this summer great for us. Like, we are in control of what we are doing. We are in control of the thoughts we're having. We're in control of our actions, So we actually have the ability to go out there and make this summer whatever we want it to be. Because if you want to make it a good summer, you can do that. But also, if you want to make it a bad summer and a summer where you don't grow and develop yourself to get to where you want to be, then you can also do that as well. So what we're going to go through today is kind of like how you can avoid going down that second road of not really growing, not really doing the things you want to be doing. So yeah, and also I just want to say that a lot of people are scared of failure. However, when you fail something, you actually learn something. So when you're going on like these 30-day runs, or even like weekly runs at this point, right? Don't be scared of doing something wrong, because as soon as you do something wrong, you can learn from it. And then from what you learn from like the thing that you might have done wrong or not right, you can actually use that to, like we went through a few times the other weeks, right? You can use that to direct you back onto the correct course to get you closer to where you want to be. So yeah, Claudia, do you want to go over the first thing that is stealing your inner peace and confidence for everyone?
Yeah, the first point is self-obsession is self-destruction. So what this is basically saying is that sometimes people can focus on themselves too much, which isn't good, because you need to make sure you're focusing on others as well as yourself. So whatever you want for yourself, you want for other people, right? And if you help enough people get what you want, then you've got already what you want, like they always say, help someone else hit P150 and it's done for you, So work on yourself every day, but don't only make it about yourself. Think about, okay, so I'm going to do this today. How can I also do it to help someone else? How can I do it to help my mom, my sister, my brother, literally anyone? And when you're working on yourself and you're working on others, you're working on them to pour in their cup so that they can also equally pour in your cup. Because, when you help someone, you don't only help them, but you also gain knowledge from them. You learn something new from them. And the only way to help someone else with their habits, or like maybe something that is they're struggling with, is to give sorry guys, the only way to help someone else with their habits is to give them guidance towards like a way that could help them. So for example, I don't know, so maybe you have a bad habit of let's say you have a bad habit of, okay, I'm gonna pick myself. So I have a bad habit of eating too much chocolate sometimes, and it's really bad because you know, it's not good for your teeth, guys, first of all. And second of all, you know, chocolate isn't really that healthy, but, you know, it's nice every now and then. And what my mum does to help me, like, kind of fix this bad habit, she might buy me apples instead of, you know, chocolates, you know. So simple things like that can help someone else with a bad habit, or just help them do something else, like change the habit. So, you know how people always say, if you want to change a habit or get rid of a habit, you need something new to stop that habit. So I had a friend and he wanted to stop smoking, and this is how he stopped smoking. So he likes sweets, he likes sweet things. So every time he thought to smoke, he would go over to the shop and buy sweets, and he'll eat the sweets. And maybe he might keep a sweet for later on when he might get that urge to smoke again and just eat a sweet again. So stuff like that, little things can help in a bigger way. And also, sometimes you have to be selfish to become selfless. Does that make sense? Just drop a 1 in the chat if you understand that. You have to become selfish you have to be selfish to become selfless. Just drop a 1 in the chat if that's making sense to you. Guys, I am sweating. It is so hot, and I was baking just before. So, you know, if I'm fanning myself, just don't mind me. Cool, yeah. So that makes sense. So before you wait, how do you balance being selfish with not being self-obsessed? That is a good question. That is a good question. How I would balance being selfish and not being self-obsessed is, for example, you could be selfish with your time. And maybe you like to spend your time alone doing whatever you like, and you don't spend enough time maybe with your family or the people you live with, and maybe they see that as selfish, and maybe, like, you know, they want to spend more time with you. And what you can do is just kind of allocate time when you want to actually do things with other people, so it doesn't seem like you're always alone and being selfish. I'm gonna let Imogen answer the rest of that though.
So what I would say about that is, it's more about like taking the time to pour into yourself, so that you can then pour into other people from like your full cup. So it's about like making sure that you're okay. Like, I guess that's the kind of selfish part of it, like making sure you're good before everyone else, so that you can make sure that everyone else is good, if that makes sense. So, like, because you can only help other people if you're good yourself. Like, if you pour into yourself first before you help other people, you're going to help them better. You can help them more effectively. You can help them kind of see another perspective from what they would see if you hadn't put into yourself first. So when we say like you have to be selfish to be selfless, it's about making sure that you are in the place where you need to be first, so that you can help other people get to the same level. Because before you can lead other people, you have to lead yourself first. And leadership is about taking people to a place that they've never been, and then they thank you when they get there. But how can you lead someone somewhere if you haven't even been there yourself? If you get what I mean. So it's kind of about putting yourself first in order to be able to help other people get to either the same position or just help them through your experiences, and so then they can come up with you, in a sense. But yeah. Claudia, finish that one.
Yeah, also I would just to add to what you said, you shouldn't also let your obsession with yourself kind of destroy you, because you're welcome. Yeah, you shouldn't let your obsession with yourself destroy you, because that could just lead to bad paths. Like, you don't want to become so obsessed with yourself. You want to obviously love yourself, but also love other people equally. And I think if you do love people equally as you love yourself, then you can never really be obsessed. And like, take the focus off you and focus on others as well more, and don't play the victim, because, you know, playing the victim it's more of I think it's more of an ego thing. Like, you need to let that ego go away, so you can accomplish your goals. So don't play victim. Also, sorry guys. But yeah, that's it. Imogen, go on, you can do the next one.
Okay. Leading on from the last point, I just want to quickly go through the things that you can actually like ask yourself. You can be like, let me help this person accomplish their goals, or you can be like, let me teach them the importance. So you're always trying to help other people level up around you. And yeah, become obsessed with helping other people level up with you. But in order to, like I said earlier, in order to help them level up, you have to kind of be leveling up yourself as well. Because how can you help someone reach a level that you haven't even got to yet? So yeah, become obsessed with helping others. Because also, when you're obsessed with your own problems and you're focusing on the things that you haven't done, you're actually focusing on what you don't have. And like we said a few weeks ago, when you're focusing on the things you don't have, you're actually focusing on the lack of them in your life, which means you're actually focusing on what you don't want. And then through law of attraction, you're actually bringing what you don't want back into your life. So, that's something to think about. Like, what are you actually thinking about most of the time? Are you thinking about your goal most of the time, which means you're focusing on it already being done, all of this stuff like you mentioned before? Because when you're focusing on things that have already been done, like in the spiritual world, all of that, you're focusing on it as if it is already done. But if you're focusing on it not being done, then you're focusing on the lack of it. And as I said, the lack of it is focusing not on what you want, it's focusing on what you don't want. So whatever you're focusing on is going to attract what you want into your life. But yeah, I'll go on to the second point now. So the second thing that is stealing your peace and confidence is the way you actually talk to yourself. So how are you actually talking to yourself? So yeah, how are you actually talking to yourself? Are you talking to yourself in a positive way, or are you bringing yourself down constantly every single day, right? Because you need to have the mindset of there's nothing that you can't do. Every problem that you go through, there's always going to be a seed of opportunity in everything that goes wrong, or like that you think is going wrong, because what you think is going wrong is actually going right, because that's actually what's meant to happen to teach you the lesson to get you to where you want to go. So yeah, change the way you speak to yourself if you speak about yourself negatively, because what you speak about you ultimately bring about. So your self-talk has to be like on point. You can't be expecting these things to come to you and expecting all this success when you're talking to yourself negatively, like you don't even think you deserve it yourself, like you don't even do you not want it? Like, if you're talking that way, there must be doubt in you, there must be doubt. And then, like we mentioned, doubt is the main thing, which is you focusing on the lack. And when you focus on the lack, you're not focusing on your goal, so you're going to attract the lack, which will keep you in that same place and you won't be making progress. So one thing you can do to actually combat this is go through affirmations. So they're kind of like affirmations, but they're affirmations. And they're basically questions that you can ask yourself. And this is something that I do when I journal. So like when I journal, I'll write 5 affirmations. So some examples are, why am I so good at staying disciplined every single day? Why am I so good at looking at the charts consistently every single day? Why am I so good at checking up on my team every day? Why am I so good at having quantum leaps in all areas of my life? That's a good one. Why am I so good at making choices that align with my purpose? Things like that really actually kind of reprogram your mind by just you thinking about them and writing them down every day. Even if you're not feeling it, just think of something to write down, and that will go into your subconscious. It will play in the back of your mind, and it will kind of bring you out of that negative self-talk cycle through the repetition of it. So that was the second point. The third point is comparison. So it is very easy to compare yourself to other people on this journey, because we all know, especially with something like this, there can literally be someone who joins your team, they make results really quick. They share the plan really quick. They put in the work really well. And then they start leveling up more than you. And then you start comparing yourself to them, or vice versa, right? Let's say someone joins your team and they are a little bit slower at picking things up, which is perfectly fine, right? Because with what we do, everyone has their own pace. Everyone is on their own journey. It's not like school, for example, where you have to pass certain checkpoints every single year. We're all on our own journey in this. We're all dealing with different things in our lives. We're all going through different things that some other people might not even know about. So not only don't compare yourself to other people, but don't compare other people to yourself. Because we're all going to get there eventually. And all you need to do is essentially just compete with the person that you were yesterday. Because in this business, in this like entrepreneurial space, the only person that you can compete against is the person that you were yesterday. Because if you're staying the same, you're not going to get better, and then therefore you're not going to grow. And if you're not growing, you're dying. So just focus on your growth. Focus on you. This is like kind of the selfish part, right? Where you have to focus on you, compare yourself to you, so that you can help other people, so that you can grow yourself to a place where you're in a position to be there for other people. So yeah, walk in your own purpose. You can create your own life. You're not trying to create or replicate anyone else's life, because we're all individuals here. We all have our own purpose. Even though some of our purposes might be similar, they're not going to be exactly the same. So when you're comparing yourself to someone else, you're essentially comparing yourself to something that is not even meant for you. So why would you even put yourself in that position to ultimately fail? Because if it's not meant for you, then it's not going to happen for you. So when you're comparing yourself to these other people and you're trying to be like these other people, it's not going to work for you, because it's not what's meant for you. You know, we all have, like I said, we all have our problems, we all have our own issues, and all we can do is become better ourselves. So you have to be confident in yourself, develop yourself to that level, and don't let anyone steal your happiness, and protect your energy at all costs. Because your energy is actually the most valuable thing that you have. Because when you let someone take your energy away from you, when you let someone steal your happiness, when you let your environments affect your peace and steal your confidence, that's when it's going to start like declining. That's when all of these other things are going to start coming in that are going to try and pull you back down to stop you from going where you want to be. So you need to protect your energy. I know a lot of people have heard it before, but some people might not have, right? You have a passcode on your phone, but do you have a passcode on your mind? Do you have a passcode on what you're actually letting into your head? Do you have a passcode on, you know, people's opinions? Do you have a passcode on like negative news? What are you actually letting into your mind? That's a bit off topic, but yeah, what are you actually letting into your mind? What are you letting affect your energy? Because ultimately your energy is, like I said, the most valuable thing that you have on this journey. As long as you keep your energy, then you will remain in that same vibration as your goals, and therefore, you know, it will come to you. So yeah, Claudia, do you want to go over the fourth point?
Well, the fourth point is lack of perspective. So a lot of people probably have a 90% view of perspective. They don't really see the whole 360 view that a person who probably doesn't have as many bad habits would see. So we wanna be seeing the 360 view, because there's three sides to every story, guys. There's your side, there's another person's side, and there's the truth. And essentially what I believe is that the truth is whatever you believe to be true. I think that when it comes to perspective, you obviously see things differently. We could see things similarly, but ultimately what you believe is the truth. And your perception is one of your higher faculties, if you didn't know already. So it's very important. Like, how do you view some of the bad habits that you do? Like, how are you trying to change them? And also, when you have a lack of perspective, it kind of stills your confidence and your peace, because sometimes your lack of perspective could be that you're just following the crowd, or just following what you've been told. So you're not actually seeing things through your own eye, and you're, in a sense, you could be viewing the things in the wrong way, like, because it's not the right way. People only understand their level of awareness. So maybe your perspective could be high compared to, I don't know, the person sitting next to you on the bus, where it could be really low. So yeah, just drop some ones in the chat if you have ever had a different perspective to someone, and you have also tried to understand their perspective or their side of the story. Let me just charge my laptop, guys, sorry. It's about to die. Cool. So couple different things. And how did it feel when, if you feel free to just write in the chat, how did it feel? So maybe someone had a different dislike or disagreement with something you said, but you saw their perspective and you tried to understand it. How did it feel? Like, was it good? Did it feel weird? Because I know for me, sometimes it's hard to accept what someone else says. Even if you really want to understand it, sometimes it's just like, no, I don't understand. Oh, sorry guys, 1 second. My laptop charger is not on. Okay, don't worry. Wait, let me just read the thing. It felt good understanding someone else's, even though I didn't agree. Yeah, I agree with that. But at the end, it's a learning curve. Yeah, I agree with that too, because sometimes, you know, just seeing how someone else thinks changes your whole perspective. And yeah, it is a good thing and a bad thing at the same time. But yeah, once you understand that people are on different levels of awareness, it kind of comes clear, and you kind of just accept the fact that they're thinking this way and you're thinking this way. Because when you think about it, look at like babies, for example, well, not babies, like toddlers, like them jumping and running around and just throwing themselves on the floor. You know how babies be, like they just do whatever. That's fun for them. But when you look at that, you're thinking, no, that's not me. Like I couldn't just, you know, run and jump and throw myself on the floor. But from their level of awareness, that's what you do. That's fun. That's cool. So yeah, just seeing things differently can also help with like habits and confidence and your peace of mind. Just, yeah, that's really it. I'm gonna go through number 5 now. Number 5 is surrounding yourself around frequencies that match yours. So just ask yourself, like, just, you know, to yourself, what frequency are you on? And what frequency are you heading to? Like, maybe not even what frequency, but where are you at now? Where are you trying to, you know, head to? Like, where are you going? Because that's very essential, because it's almost like saying you're going to get on a bus and you don't know what stop to get off. Like, you need to know where you're going, guys. And spending 10 minutes, even 5 minutes, even being on this call right now, we're all like-minded people. We're all aspiring to be, you know, either 6-figure traders, you know, I don't know, maybe some of you guys want to do something else, but we're all aspiring for success, you know. And just spending this time together, this hour, this 45 minutes we have together, already is elevating us and making us all on the same frequency, because we're all here for one reason, you know. And you should spend at least, you know, an hour a day really just studying, to be honest, on whether that be trading, whether that be self-development, whether that be, I don't know, you go to school, you've got to study for a subject, because I think it's so key to stay on that frequency that you want to be at, even if it's not like being with a person physically. But, you know, studying helps me stay on that frequency where I know, okay, these are my goals, I want to hit them, and studying is part of that. So it's keeping me on that frequency, whereas when I hit those goals that I want to be at, I will know where to go after. Even like staying away, well, not staying away, but, you know, sometimes you need to keep that distance from those people that are negative in your life. You know, I'm going to ask Imogen to give us a little example, but sometimes, you know, your friends, your family, they don't mean to, but can come across as negative towards your goals and dreams just because they're not on the same frequency as you, you know, they're somewhere else. And sometimes it can be really hard to like kind of, you know, just swallow your pride and keep it moving. But I'm going to give it over to Imogen while I get my charger to explain a story. Go on, Imogen.
Yeah, so it's probably safe to say I've had quite a few, you know, friends and family put their word in. Let's just say that. But you know, you have to kind of keep in mind that when you are in this position, you know, all of us here, we can see what they can't see. We have the ability to, you know, have these massive goals, because ultimately we are the people who are going to bring about change in our whole family line, right? We're the people who are going to create generational wealth for our family. We are going to be the people who change everything that's happened in our family cycle so far. So it's important to remember why you're doing this, and it's important to remember like the change that you're going to create, because even though some people might not be able to see it, as long as you can see it and as long as you can believe that it's going to happen as well, then, you know, when you can believe it's going to happen, that's when it takes a whole nother level. That's when it takes a whole different like kind of power over you, and you become more powerful in your way of thinking. You become more sure of what you're doing. You become more connected to, you know, what you're working for. And think of it this way, right? Why would you spend 3 hours with people who are being negative, but only 10 minutes with people who share the same goal as you? That just doesn't make sense. So instead of spending so much time with the people who, you know, don't see your vision and who are basically enforcing their limiting beliefs onto you, then so by spending all of your time with the people who are enforcing their limiting beliefs onto you because they don't believe that they can succeed themselves, why would you spend time with people like that? You need to spend time with people who actually feed into you, pour into your cup, you know, who actually see the vision with you, who actually want to work with you, who actually want to change their lives as well. So yeah, some people, might be anyone on the school, I'm not sure, but I know it was me for a while. You know, spending 3 hours with people you should be spending 10 minutes with, and spending 10 minutes with people you should be spending 3 hours with. Like, think of it this way: you should spend more time with the people who have the results you want. You should spend more time elevating yourself, elevating your life, elevating your thought, elevating your personal development, elevating everything about you. So, like we said earlier, so you can bring those other people who might not necessarily believe yet, you can bring them up with you eventually, but you have to focus on yourself for now. You know, you are the 5 people you hang out with ultimately. So, if you hang out with 5 people that are letting the outside circumstances affect their inner peace, who are letting their environments control them, who are letting, you know, who aren't controlling what they are accepting and rejecting into their subconscious mind, then ultimately you are going to be the 6th person like that. But if you're spending your time with people who are constantly learning new things, constantly opening their mind to new ways of thinking, to change their paradigms, because the only way you can change a paradigm is through repetition of learning new information, and you're going to learn new information by hanging out with people who are, you know, elevating themselves. So yeah, you become with who you hang out with. So who do you spend the most time with? Because that's going to affect the frequency that you are at as well. You know, like I said earlier, you need to walk in your purpose. You know, what life do you want to lead? Do you want to be like people who are closed-minded, who are always talk down on every negative opportunity that comes towards them, who are in a negative space of mind? Or do you want to be around people who are open-minded, you know, who are leveling up in all areas of their life, not just financially, not just personally developing, but all areas of their lives? So yeah, the most important thing is for you to, you know, become a better person, because that's what this is about. We're not just here for the money. We're here to develop ourselves spiritually, emotionally, physically, maybe like going to gym, you know, mentally and financially. Like, we have everything we need here to thrive pretty much. So yeah, just be confident in yourself. And as I said earlier, don't let any of these outside circumstances affect your happiness and your peace. Because the moment you do that is the moment you start getting doubt matching it to you. You get doubt creeping in, insecurities creeping in. You start thinking, is this really going to work for me? You know? But you have to stay focused on the end result. Like, how are you going to feel when you've reached your goal? You know, how is your life going to be different when you've reached your goal? Visualize it as well every single day. I find that helps as well. Because once you get into the habit of visualizing and feeling that feeling, visualizing is not really about like getting the mental pictures. It's about staying in the feeling of how you're going to feel when you have actually reached that goal. Because when you get into the feeling, I found this works a lot better. Once you get into the feeling, the images start coming automatically. So when you're visualizing, don't try and think about necessarily like what it's going to look like. Think about how you're going to feel, because then you kind of connect with it a little bit better. But yeah, that was the 5 things that are stealing your inner peace and confidence. So number 1 was self-obsession is self-destruction. Number 2 is self-talk. 3 is comparison is the thief of all joy. 4 is lack of perspective. 5 is like who you're surrounding yourself with and surrounding yourself with frequencies that are on the same match as yours. But yeah, now we're going to quickly go over habits that you might be doing at the moment that are actually draining your energy. Because, you know, your energy, as I said earlier, your energy is your new kind of identity. So what you let affect your energy and what you let what you let from the outside circumstances affect you internally is what's going to determine what you're going to accomplish. You know, you have the ability to accept or reject things into your subconscious. So just be mindful of what you're accepting and what you're rejecting. But yeah, Claudia is going to go over how overthinking is actually going to drain your energy.
Well, thanks, Imogen. So yeah, overthinking. This is probably something I had done like for a while. Like, drop some 7s in the chat if you've overthinked before. Drop some 7s in the chat.
7s, sorry. If you don't put a 7, you're lying. I'm just saying.
Yeah, overthinking is a bitch, guys. It's a bitch. But cool. It's really bad to overthink. So the only thing you should really overthink about, guys, is your goals, but in a positive way. Like, overthinking about it so much in a positive way. Like, it's your burning desire, you know? And as you already know, you become what you think about. So obviously you don't want to be overthinking about all these problems, all these circumstances that you don't want. And if we're going to overthink, we need to overthink in the present and obviously make it positive about where we're going. Because if we're overthinking about, okay, you want to hit this goal, you want to hit P150, you know, the first rank, you want to hit that. You're overthinking about that every single day. The way our minds work is that what we think about, we become. So you're going to overthink about P150 every single day. And slowly, the universe, God, whoever you believe in, will guide you towards, you know, hitting that rank. Because maybe you might encounter someone that you talk to and, you know, you sign them up, or, you know, something will happen that will lead to you reaching that goal. So you should overthink, guys, but in a positive way, not in a negative way. And if you're feeding your negative, you know, overthinking thoughts, you're planting that seed. And you're not going to reach your goal. It's not going to be accomplished, but the bad things will happen a lot faster. And drop some 6s in the chat if you've noticed that when you think of these bad things, they happen just like that. So just drop someone 6s in the chat if that happens. You notice like bad things just happen so quickly. But when it comes to good things, it's a bit of a patient journey. But yeah, worrying about your goals can also lead to overthinking. So, you know, just think of your goals in a positive way. Like, it's already done, guys. You thought about it, so it's already done, you know? You as Imogen said before, feel that feeling that you will feel when you had reached the goal, and that will help you stay on track. But yeah, cool. Go on, Imogen. You can do number 2.
Okay, so number 2 is the habit of expecting people around you to change when they have repeatedly shown that they don't want to change. So, you know, some people, they just don't want to hear what you have to say. Some people are not meant for like what we're doing right now. You know, the message that we're trying to spread is not meant to be heard by everyone. It's meant to be heard by some. It's meant to be heard by the people who want to change their lives. It's meant to be heard by the right people, you know? And also, in saying that, don't be the person who doesn't live up to your own word, because then you're breaking your own expectations. And, you know, that comes into discipline as well. So some of us are actually the reason why other people are failing, because when you're holding yourself back, you can also be holding other people back as well. This is kind of like we were saying earlier about you have to be selfless, you have to be selfish to be selfless. Because if you don't level up yourself, then you can't bring the other person with you. So you're then holding them back as well. So that's kind of another thing to think about. Maybe if you have like a bigger team, but also it can relate to stuff outside of your team. It can relate to like your friends, your family, you know? But yeah, you know, this business is hard. We all know that. We've all been through our trials within this business. You know, some people just can't embrace it, but all of us here are able to actually embrace it, go through what it takes, you know. We're all gonna get there eventually. It's just a matter of time, guys. But yeah, go where your time is deserved, not where your time is needed. So when I say this, I mean, don't do things for people who are not doing anything. You know, because this isn't given, like you don't automatically sign up and get rich, you know, we all know this by now. You have to earn what you're doing, but also you have to earn mentorship as well. You know, I think it was Akif or Jason a couple of weeks ago, they were saying that, you know, you have to earn their mentorship. If they give you a task and you don't do it, then you're basically disrespecting their leadership and the stuff that they're trying to teach you through doing that. So, you know, you have to be in a position to deserve mentorship from these leaders. Because when you get to a position like theirs, especially, a lot of people need you. Like a lot of people think they may need the chairman to level up, but a lot of people also don't deserve that level of mentorship because they haven't put the work in to like be deserving of that, you know. And I'm gonna be completely honest, that is me. I'm still kind of working on that. But you know, you gotta kind of go through the process. Like I'm not really ashamed of saying that I haven't put like not necessarily work, but I'm not really ashamed to say that I haven't followed instructions from my mentors before, because I haven't, and I know now where that leads me to. So from doing that, I'm grateful to have not listened to my mentors because I learned a lesson that I should have done. If you know what I mean. But yeah, Claudia, go through the third point.
Just to kind of bounce back off that point, you dwelling on the past is the third point. So, you know, like Imogen said, you know, learn from your mistakes and your experiences because they essentially guide you towards the next step that you're going to take. And yeah, it's meant to happen. Like she had to not follow her mentor's instructions so she could realize, okay, it didn't really put me anywhere, but she had to experience that herself. And that's why sometimes you have to kind of look back and just see and be grateful for what has happened, even if it was good or if it was bad. Like you have to be grateful for what has happened. And those past experiences, those past circumstances, situations you've had have made you the person you are. So you would never want to change that. And success is something you do every day. Like you're learning every day, you're building every day, you're making mistakes every day. So don't be ashamed of like falling or making a bad error along the way because you can always change it the next day. Cool, Imogen. You're going to go over the last point?
Yeah, the last couple of points. So number 4 is similar to the second one I went through, is trying to live up to everyone's expectations but your own. It's literally, like I said before, you're only in competition with yourself. And letting other people's expectations kind of be what you're working towards it's not going to fulfill you. First of all, it's probably going to put extra pressure on you because you don't have the clarity of what exactly you're trying to work towards. If you're trying to think of what other people want you to do, you have to guess what they want you to do. So, why not just focus on your own expectations for yourself? You know what I mean? But yeah, I've got written down here, competition is for amateurs, but creation is for professionals. Because we're in the business of creating. We can create anything we want through our imagination that we can hold in our hands. I know the person that I'm going to be, and you all know the people that you are going to be. If you're trying to be someone else, like I said earlier, trying to become someone else and living up to someone else's expectations are pretty much kind of the same thing in a way that they are nothing to do with you. And you are your own individual, so you should be focused on your own individual success. You should know the person that you're going to become. You should know what you're working on. You should know, only you know how tapped in you really are. No one else can know that for sure. Not even your mentors, not even your mentees. Only you are really going to know what work you're putting in. You're only going to know within yourself how, what you expect of yourself. It can't be imposed on you by someone else. It has to come from you. And then the fifth thing is taking things personally. So with this, there's actually a book called The 4 Agreements, and don't take things personally is actually one of the 4 agreements. So if you haven't read that book, I haven't read it yet either, but I'm going to at some point after all the other books. But yeah, that's a really good book, and that will go more into depth of, taking things personally. But ultimately, I guess it's just, the things people say, it's not aimed at you, it's aimed at what you're doing. So for example, friends and family might not agree. That's not aimed at you, that's aimed at what they think you're doing. I think so. But yeah, that comes into perspective as well. If you see that as a threat and you get defensive, why are you getting defensive? Do you believe what they're saying is true? Or are you certain that you know that your goals are going to get achieved? So that's something else to think of as well. When people say this negative stuff, how do you actually respond to that? Do you take it personally as an attack on you? Or do you just take it with a pinch of salt? Do you see it from the perspective of they are actually putting their limiting beliefs onto you? Or do you see it as them personally attacking you? Do you know what I mean? And that all comes down to your level of awareness as well. Because when you develop yourself to a level where you're kind of invincible in a way, because no matter what people say, it's not going to affect you, because you know where you're going, you know you're going to get there, regardless of what anyone else thinks, or regardless of who joins your business, regardless of who actually cares about what you have to say. You need to have that tunnel vision. You need to have that level of certainty without you need to have the level of certainty to be able to make it in this business. You have to become a savage, big man CT always says. You have to be a savage in this business, right? You can't let a little comment distract you from this whole massive dream you have. Think of it this way. If you wanted to go to space, I'm just going to use this as a mad example, right? But yeah, if you wanted to go to space and someone says you can't do it because you're wearing the wrong shoes, what correlation does that have? It does not have a correlation at all. So yeah, think of that, right? When someone is trying to bash your dreams, bash your what you're doing, they have no clue what you actually are going to achieve. So yeah, that's another thing to keep in mind. But yeah, 2 minutes left of this call. Claudia, do you want to close it off?
Thanks, Imogen, for that laughable story. Just to close off, I just want everyone to drop in the chat something they're grateful for today. Just drop that in the chat. I'll even drop something. Wow. I'm grateful for this call today. This was nice. Oh, someone else is grateful for the call.
Yeah, me too.
Cool. Thanks, guys, for jumping on though. Like, we really appreciate it. It means a lot. And yeah, we hope we give you guys value. You know,